Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Minister of Education, Mr. C.A. Smith, honorable senators, ministers of religion, distinguished guests, I am very proud to be here to speak briefly on what I term the culture of the Bahamas. It was a dark and gloomy day 1,600 years ago as the great library in Alexandria burned to the ground. Within its cindered walls, wisdom of many years were reduced to mere ashes. Page after wonderful page, vast knowledge of his most knowledgeable and learned sons was consumed in catastrophic sequence. The great literature and science, once neatly catalogued in scroll after scroll, was obliterated and lost to future generations. Today, in Bahamas, we must assure that we do not allow even one storehouse of knowledge, culture, and experience to disappear into oblivion. We certainly should not welcome the possible loss of our rich, definable past, thus jeopardizing a potentially culturally rich future. The question is, how can we prevent this from happening in Bahamaland? How do we preserve and ensure our cultural heritage? In the heart of every quaint little settlement of our jeweled family islands, in the minds of our scholars, elders, teachers, preachers, farmers, fishermen, boat builders, carpenters, and masons, lay mostly untapped reservoirs of Bahamian culture and wisdom. Within these minds, in many instances, are unrecorded knowledge of our rich past and experiences that must certainly be remembered and preserved in order for us to foster a clearer, stronger sense of identity, and also to assist in creating a more definable cultural future. Our culture, like other cultures, is a learned phenomenon. It is not genetic. There is no biological gene for it. It is not biologically inherited, but rather socially learned. Our culture is the sum total of our learned behavior. It is not merely the way we talk, but our very dialect, the way we greet each other. It is what we eat, when we eat, our literature, our music, our arts and craft. It is our everyday behavior, our norms and our mores, our religion, the way we worship. It is our education, and last but not least, it is our politics. It is the sum total of the material and intellectual equipment whereby we as a people satisfy our biological and social needs, and how we adapt to our environment. Bearing in mind these statements, we can confidentially state that the Bahamas is culturally rich, and it is disheartening for me to hear remarks to the contrary. Bahamians must cease to measure our cultural depth by the yardstick of other countries, particularly in this region. We must proudly accept and appreciate the various aspects of our culture, such as Junkanoo music, though for now not as internationally renowned as the Jamaican reggae or the West Indian soca. But it is our own. It is us. It is a part of the Bahamian identity. It is therefore a must that we treasure and promote us, rejecting attempts to assimilate and or elevate various other cultures to the detriment of our own. Let me hasten here to say that I am not against Bahamians supporting and appreciating other cultures. This is necessary for personal development and growth. However, I am perturbed when various aspects of these cultures threaten to assume precedence over our own culture As a part of the Caribbean and the West Indies, we undeniably possess similar cultural traits as those of our sister countries. However, it is the obvious difference that we possess that define and identify us as Bahamians. And as Bahamians, we must also and always remember that different doesn't necessarily mean inferior. But then again, the question can be asked, who are we? Our educational and judicial systems are vestiges of our British heritage. Our powerful music, our dance with rhythmic, gyrating movements, our arts and crafts, many of our religious practices, hand clapping and foot stomping, our practice of setting up or the wakes observed after the death of a loved one, and of course our varied use of bush medicine are all complements of our African heritage. Our sense of fashion, hairstyles, technology, and to some extent our eating habits and entertainment are American influence. By combining these and other aspects of the aforementioned cultures, one may glean a fairly clear concept of a Bahamian and a Bahamian culture as it is today. Let us consider our language. We have a dialect distinctively our own. As we traverse from family island to family island and settlement to settlement, one discovers various and numerous variations of this wonderful idiom. For example, in Harbour Island, they drop the H. Therefore, Harry hit me over the head with a hammer becomes Harry hit me over the head with a hammer. The infusion of religious ballads is undeniably a carryover from our African heritage and the cotton fields of the South. Bahamian dances such as the quadrille and knock the count style are part of our slavery heritage and Bahamian folklore. There is so much culture here in our beautiful countries. Bahamians do have and can have a clear identity. We need only to accept it. We must stop defining ourselves by other cultures and so lose sight of what we have. Our country, though small in size, is big in potential. What are we today and what we become tomorrow is up to us. We can determine how the world marks our bearing if we believe in who we are and what we have. It is quite evident that a new era of cultural creativity is on the horizon in our society. This is evident in our literature, music, arts, and crafts. In order to facilitate this new era, Bahamians and their literature must be constantly promoting, whether through satire or serious drama, messages of our unique Bahamian culture. The love for and the pride in our country must be clearly seen in our literature and our music. Our writers must be encouraged to compile volumes of things past and things present, our hopes and our dreams for this and future generations. In conclusion, it can be said that through culture and the preservation of the past, we can acquaint ourselves with the best that has been known in Bahama land, and thus with the history of what can be called the human spirit of our country. This spirit compels us as Bahamians to support and promote our culture, support our literature, our music, our dance, our arts and crafts, our way of being and living. Let us support us as Bahamians. In the words of our national anthem, let us sincerely press forward and march together to this common, loftier goal, our cultural identity. I thank you.